So good morning to you and
Good morning.
and our receptive audience.
Mhm.
We have the privilege today to have an exchange with Yvonne Bosu. And I consider you a distinctive and caring individual, Yvonne,
Thank
through
you.
our experience in Genshai self-mastery and global greats. And it's been a process of getting to know you, and then certainly this exchange that we share today will further our mutual understanding of who we are as individuals. You have a gracious enthusiasm for personal growth and contribution. That's evident by the fact that you guide a number of nonprofits. You're leader of a socially conscious business. You are devoted to supporting women entrepreneurs to realize their fullness of opportunity. And you have the grace of presence as an individual, which I've been able to have the most, that personal experience, and I appreciate it. So thank you. So may this interview with the questions that we pose of depth that we'll get into, may they illustrate once again the commonalities that we all share through all the various people in this world that we get to meet, because we're all going through the same journey. We're just at different steps along the path. And Yvonne, you have your journey to share with us, and thank you.
You're welcome. I'm happy to be here.
All right. So my first question for you is, oh, by the way, when I sent you these questions, how'd you feel about them?
Yeah. Oh, I thought they were all great. A couple gave me like a little pause to think, oh, how would I answer this one? Just a couple, your quote and who has been an influential person. I had to stop and think about those two, because one, I love quotes, and two, there's a lot of people I love that I find have been important along my path. But yeah, those were the only two that gave me a bit of pause. The rest are, very, very, very easy, not difficult to know immediately. Yes.
Well, good. I make a point of asking questions that go beyond the mundane so that we get a sense of how we are all looking at life. So my first question for you is, what is a dear inspired statement, word of wisdom, or words of wisdom which guide your life today?
Okay, it was the today part that helped me, because there's been so many words of wisdom or so many positive affirmations or quotes that I love to say at the end of I'm signing off on things. But the one that I really love and has been maybe for the past a year or so, it's really gotten my attention. It's in the Tao. Wayne Dyer wrote a book around the Tao, the holy, I guess it's a holy writing, isn't it? And it's an inspired writing, that's
The
for
Tao,
sure.
the way of life.
Yeah, yes. In verse 33 talks about if you know man, you have knowledge. If you know yourself, you're wise. And mastering yourself is kind of, the real, I suppose, wisdom that you can have. And in that verse, it also says, or perhaps it's Wayne's interpretation, that if you really love something, you leave it alone. And I think it's that combined. And unfortunately, I don't have the book here with me because I thought I'd be doing this interview from home. But that combined, those two things is really, I think, a beautiful thing that I'm learning to master now, is to really know myself intimately, love and appreciate myself. And I think that another quote says the same thing. The relationship you have with yourself is really going to be the relationship you have with others, because we can't treat others in a way we don't know how to treat ourselves. Just a person that doesn't know love can't give love, or unconditional love can't really give it unconditionally. So that phrase has always been an important one for me that I love and I try to live by. And that the second part is that if you love something, you leave it alone. That to me is truly that if you can appreciate that we're all on our own life's journey, then wherever people, including the ones you love, are, you must try, I believe, to let them figure it out. I mean, of course, you give words of encouragement and you're there for them. And that one particular hit home is I feel like my daughter has become everything I would have wanted a young lady at her graduation. She just graduated um, a week and a half ago from
Mhm.
college. And I feel like she's everything I would have wanted her to turn out to be. And of course, she has her challenges in relationships and things that are important to her. So as much as I can, I try not to get too involved or solve an issue or try to solve an issue for her.
Mhm.
I am getting to the point where I want her to figure it out on her own and only come to me when, every stone, and even they say, even when you think you turned over every stone, you still have it. But,
Mhm.
really leave her alone and let her be and let her have her own journey. That's what that part of Wayne's interpretation means to me. And so I really like that verse 33 in his book where he kind of simplifies the teachings of the Tao. That's that's my verse right now is verse 33.
Yes. Well,
Yes.
thank you. Thank you. And I can see
Mhm.
how that inherently, that approach to life serves you in regards to how you work with other individuals in your business in supporting
Mhm.
them to be all they can be. Because you
Mhm.
can't carry them. All you can do is hold the light and then they must find their way. And
Absolutely.
so it's wonderful that you have that outlook on life, and I just appreciate always meeting people who see the significance of honoring the light within, which inherently supports you to see the light in others, which then lifts all of us.
Yes, I
Yeah.
agree.
When you review the story of your life, for what or who are you most appreciative?
Well, there's a reason why it's my daughter comes up again. She is truly, when I sat and thought about it, she has truly been my biggest blessing. And ironically, I was alarmed when I found out I was going to have a child, even though I was already 28. I had supposedly planned it, and I waited a bit after marriage to have her. Um, but I remember at the time that I began this journey of wanting to start a family, I remember kind of thinking, well, I'm pretty close to there, but I'm not quite there. So maybe I better pull a plug on it. And lo and behold, I was already pregnant with her. And I remember feeling very alarmed, feeling like
Mhm.
I'm not ready. I'm not ready. I'm not a fully baked person. I still have things to, although no parent really feels ready at any given time. You can never learn all that you need to know to become a parent when you're a first time parent. However, I really felt I especially had in my home of upbringing some foundational things that I felt like I wasn't given, that I knew somehow I could give myself. I just hadn't done it yet.
Mhm.
Um, and lo and behold, she came and she was really, really a blessing because, when you become a parent, everything kind of reprioritizes itself.
Yes,
Things that you
absolutely.
thought were important aren't suddenly that important. And there's a new focus and a new way of, I suppose, appreciating what is important. And so there began my journey with bettering myself, with becoming a full whole
Mm.
person. And each time along the way, I felt like I was getting closer and better at it. Sometimes I'd feel, you know, two steps forward, one step back, or even
Mhm.
two steps forward, only one step back. It was always I felt myself in a different place. But somehow along the way, on her 22nd birthday, it coincided with the same day she was graduating college, and I remember being so happy coming home with a container to put her gift that I was giving her, and feeling in that moment like, wow, she became the full package, everything I would ever want
Mm.
in a daughter, as far as her being intelligent, poised, beautiful inside and out, and just she is a little light wherever she goes as well. She's truly the full package. And I said, well, I must have done something right. I
Right.
must have somehow that that aha moment, as they say, suddenly popped into my head, like I must have become a full, complete person along the way, that I produced or helped create or help influence this young woman to
Mm-hmm.
be all that she is today. And it wasn't until that moment, truly, that I felt, and I felt at other moments that, I'm a good person. I've done a lot of learning. I'm getting wiser as I'm getting older, but never had I felt like I did in that moment that, I feel pretty good also about where I am. I feel really
Good.
good that I have learned enough to now feel like I am a competent
Mm-hmm.
adulting human being on this planet, because I don't think prior to that moment, that realization, did I really feel like, okay, I have learned enough to consider myself a really good parent or a really good individual, even a whole complete person. So that is why I say she has been my biggest gift, and who I appreciate the most and thank the most for, not only her patience with me, because certainly, I I would never have said that I was a good parent for probably the first half of her life, probably getting better by the time, she was about 10, 11. And certainly by the time she was 18 and off and running in college and doing her own thing, I was very proud of her. But I thought, okay, her other parent can claim most of that credit. But it wasn't truly until this couple of weeks ago, when she was about to graduate, that I said, I think I had something to do with it, and it must be because I've become a whole person. So yeah, that is why she's my biggest blessing.
She's your story of your experience with her and your growth with her is a perfect illustration that we as parents know not all. And our children have much to teach us as we have to teach them. And for you to see that she's been as valuable to you in your life and your growth and your maturity as you aspire to have been for hers, that's beautiful. And that was a moment of grace that just showed up.
Yes.
Perfect.
Yes.
So that leads us to this question. I didn't ask, this was the question I had before the one I shared with you, but I think this is perfect. Given your upbringing, what part of your rearing as a child is integral to developing your philosophy of life for being the distinct human being you are here to be?
I'd say there is two or three qualities that my parents, I feel, wow, they have, I don't want to say more than most, but that taught me uh, a lot about how to be optimistic, positive, and resilient in this world. They are the most giving, uh, when it comes to our principle that we share of Genshai. They truly taught me
Mm.
how to treat other people with respect and care, and really both of them would give the shirts off their backs to help
Mm.
others. My mother was very involved in the church, and there was she was always happy to get up and go, and it filled her to do this service for others, and to give, not just with spiritual words, but also physically feed people, clothe people, shelter people. They both did it. My entire upbringing. We were
Mm.
one of the first in our family to immigrate to America. They immigrated
Mhm.
here in the 60s. I was born here, but they immigrated here with my three elder siblings. And despite their family of six, they always had a home full of people that they were
Mm.
helping. I don't remember there being much of a time when we were just our family, without company. That was rare, very rare.
Mhm.
And so their optimism, especially my father and his ability to decide he was going to do something, state it, and have not just the optimism, but just the real belief that he could get it done. It
Mhm.
really is, I think, a huge part of why I turned out the way that I am. There was really, I tell this story sometimes to my children, because they see me differently as their mom, as I knew myself growing up to be. And that something that was, my other people might think, well, that's not only challenging, that's downright kind of a little crazy and dangerous. I learned, in order to go to school, because I lived up in the high desert, in order to go to college, to drive myself there was an hour hour and 15 minutes away from where I lived with no traffic. And in traffic, it probably, not probably, it was longer. And I got up maybe the night before, my father taught me how to drive stick shift in this little pickup truck. It wasn't the big ones that they're now. It's like the mini little pickup trucks. And I practiced that evening with him. And then I got up at 3 a.m. the following morning because I had morning classes that maybe started about 8 a.m. near LA. And I just started practicing. Nobody's out on the streets and at 3 a.m. So I was like, once I get going, I'll have it in me. I won't forget. I'll know what I'm doing. And I drove down it was in the high desert where I live. And I drove down that mountain and hit LA traffic and, maybe stalled once or twice. I don't remember now. But in traffic, I got to my classes. And that is what I'm saying, where once I decide to do something, I know I can do it. I may, take a pause, take 2 steps back, maybe do a mistake or two, but I will stay with it. And it usually turns out quite all right, David. So that optimism, I have to say, definitely comes from my father. Yeah. And yeah, positive people, affluent and abundant. I forgot that one. Like nobody else I know. My mother is always saying how I grew up her saying, the more I give away, the more I have, it seems. And she would give away food. And she said, I always have food in the refrigerator that I don't want it to spoil, that I'm always giving it away.
Beautiful.
And my father, same thing, 6 children, and always guests or people staying at her home, and not always them helping out financially, but somehow every year he would pull it out of his hat that he would go on vacation to visit his family in his hometown in Mexico. And it's a pilgrimage, we'd all pile into the station wagon or van or wherever the vehicle was and drive down there. It was a 2.5 day drive, but he would go every year. He'd find a way and we'd all go and stay at the holiday time. So yes, very abundant people. So yes, optimism, positivity, abundance, those are the traits they taught me.
Isn't it interesting how many years we spend with our family? And unless we're extremely enlightened when we're young, it takes us a number of years of stepping through our own trials and challenges and growthful opportunities to wake up and go, wow, I am who I am. Thank you, Mom and Dad, for the values that you instilled in me. And then you further compound that with your belief in it that then you share with your children. And so we continue to be, as our parents were a difference for us, we're a difference for our kids are a difference for others. And so we compound this difference in the world. It's beautiful. Thanks for sharing that. And what was a pivotal transformational moment in your life, which has been integral to unfolding your look on life? So you have the qualities, the understandings of living a life of value, and those had to serve you through a very significant stepping stone. What might that have been?
Well, I think a significant moment was when I realized I was going to graduate high school. And I did not know, and I loved everything business. I always wanted to be some kind of a shopkeeper, a businesswoman, work in an office. I used to play, being a banker with my mother's old checkbook that were left over, or setting up a little shop of like glass bottles tinted with the food coloring from the kitchen she had. I would set up a little store. So I always loved that. So in high school, you start doing your electives, you picking things you like. So I took every elective there was to do in and around business. And I noticed that the teacher that ran those classes in high school, that was in charge of that department, signed me up, unbeknownst to me, to a whole lot of different scholarships. She knew my financial situation. And incredible on that I think she might have told me about one. But then when we went to the ceremony where the students are being given like perfect attendance record awards or things of that, there was, I must have gotten about 5 or 6 monetary scholarships from like the Kiwanis Club, different governmental organizations and charities actually gave me money to go to college with. And I was so, it was unbelievable to me. And it was a pivotal moment when I thought, wow, I must be intelligent. I must be somebody worthy to catch her attention, and that she do this on my behalf.
How
And
old were you?
so, and I was about to graduate high school.
Okay.
So
Okay.
I was 18. I was 18. So yeah, I was about to be 18 or 18 because I have a summer birthday. But yeah, she really, that was a pivotal moment where she really inspired me. My parents were immigrant parents, and it's not that they didn't encourage me to go to school, but they didn't get past maybe middle school, maybe, and probably started high school. And so, of course, education for us was important to them, but they couldn't, help with homework or set a path or give me a vision of what even college might look like for me. I was the first in my family to go to college on both sides, I think, of the family, because for whatever reason, my older siblings, one got married right after high school. Another brother took his GD. He decided not to finish and just start working. And a third sister, she started working right away for a company that hired her. And so for whatever reason, I was going to be the first in the family to go to college. So, her belief in me and signed me up for those things. And I actually had a relationship with her a couple years probably before graduation. And I remember she always inspired me. And the reason that I chose to do an accounting major, even though I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do after graduation, I knew it would be something with business. So I said, well, accounting is the language of business, so let's start there. So that's her. She really inspired me, and I guess later on, it's what I tell young people now is that when you show your interest and passion and desire in something, people really pay attention to that. They notice. And they will help you along the way. And in this case, without my even asking, but people are happy to see other people pursuing what makes them happy, what lights them up, what drives them. And people show up to help you along the way.
Yeah, passion exudes, passion magnetizes passion.
That's good. And I hadn't heard that. That's a good way of looking at it.
And it's neat how your parents gave you those basic qualities of looking at life that then allowed you to stand tall and listen at the right time and see that you had a next big step in life to take that you really didn't know much about, but you had the confidence, you had the positivity, you had the resilience to step into it. A college education and a whole new life of probably of greater abundance and worldly success than that with which you were brought up.
Absolutely. And unbelievable blessings I've had throughout my life and continue to. Yes.
As you look at the life you express today, what is your heartfelt intention, mission, reason for being?
Yes. So, again, being a shy community member with me, the last thing we learned at last G3 get together was, what do I get to want to desire to get out of bed and do every day? And it is to be, while my two younger sons are still at home, to be very intentional parent with them. And this is what I love about it. I'm gonna explain it to you. It's a full circle kind of giving and receiving is what drives me every day. What makes me, can't wait to start my day. It's because by me giving to myself, because I start my mornings with doing a meditation or an exercise or something that grounds me and balances me, so that then I can go and be purposeful in the way I show up in life, the way I exchange with others, the way I treat others, to be that better person. for my children, and to be able to do it with a full heart and with no kind of feeling that, well, because I'm a parent, I can't do this well. Because for a while I was telling myself that, David. I was believing that, wow, I can't be a full businesswoman because I want to be, present for my children, and they don't like me sending somebody else to pick them up at school. They want me to be there, on the weeks that they are with me, because I currently share them with their father, so 1 week they're with me, 1 week they're with him. And I used to kind of feel interrupted. But now I see it as a huge blessing and opportunity when they come and they stay with me, because it actually gives me balance that I can step back a little bit. I can assign the things that I need to do that are more concentrated and more intense on the weeks that they're not with me, and it works out just fine. Once I started, saying to people, I'm not available this week, it was perfectly okay. I'll be available next week. And so that made me better. Wanting to be a better mother for them, a better parent for them, made me be a better person to myself. And it is amazing to me. The moment I prioritized that and got really clear on that being my highest value, how it helped other things run more efficiently with less effort. And it feels like I'm able to do more now that I reprioritized it in the right way. It's almost like magic. It's almost, I still can't fathom how that happened, because I get to spend more happy time for myself, feel like I'm more productive doing my work life schedule, and I still have eyes. I don't know how it happened. My relationship with them is better. They notice it. They feel like I have more intentional time with them, and it just somehow the 24 hours in the day became, magically, 36 hours. I don't know how that happened.
What's really what I really appreciate in listening to you is that you are wholly affirmative about the value of who you are from an honoring from an honoring standpoint. You see that as you take care, clear with yourself, center with yourself, love and honor yourself, you are being the best self you can be, to be an effective parent, a loving parent, to be a visionary and conscientious business person, to be a loving and sensitive contribution in your daily life to everyone. You are honoring the gift you were given in this lifetime, as all of us have. And too often people don't see that. They see that, well, I got to do this here for this person, I got to do this here for this cause, and they miss who is doing it, because it's he or she who is doing it determines the extent of energy, passion, and fullness of the gift they're attempting to give. And you do an excellent job of expressing that. Thank you.
Well, I have to say, I noticed as a young mother, and this is before I started doing investments, is that we tend to feel, and I have girlfriends that feel guilty when they're doing things for themselves, as opposed to doing things for their family. And it's not that they don't. Like, I have a friend who does so much for her family and children and husband. But somehow if she does one or two many things in the week for herself, she thinks, she feels guilt. And she feels like she should be applying that time more usefully towards, serving, the family more, or for the friends or the organizations. She's extremely charitable humanitarian. And I'm amazed by what she does with charity work. I mean, she runs it like a CEO would run a company, and yet she feels guilt in giving to herself. And I have never, for some reason, early on, knew that giving to myself, it was intrinsic almost. Before it was being said, I was taking care of myself, knowing that I can only give to the extent that I was putting into my own bank. And so that I have to say, I see women especially getting better at it. I'm sure men do it as well in different ways. But yes, we have to take care of ourselves. We have to. It's essential. This is why I was speaking about the circle. The circle, it only continues to work when we give back first to ourselves, so we can give to others, that then others give back. So the circle of giving and receiving, that's a healthy way for it to operate. It's
Yes. Yes.
really a concept that once you understand this, what I'm saying, once I understood that it's magical how much my giving to myself really helps me give more efficiently and
Yeah.
even more to other people or to other causes.
I'm losing the communication here
Other
for a
purposes.
moment. Okay. Oh, we missed that last paragraph because the communication went
Okay.
horribly.
Well, I can repeat it briefly. I'm just saying how that's how the circle of giving and receiving works.
Yes.
It's by you
Yes.
giving
Got that.
to yourself, yes, but then you can serve others. That again, in turn, fills you, right? Because it fills us to serve others. It raises our own vibration, our own happiness level, and they also serve other people, and it's a circle that keeps giving.
Yes, and it compounds and compounds and compounds.
Yes.
Yes. So now, I had a thought. You are involved with a number of nonprofits. You run social an investment company called Six Dragonflies. And you're a parent. Life is busy. So what I'm hearing you say is you're choosing to have the time for these various activities and pursuits in your life instead of these activities running your show. Although you may struggle with that dichotomy sometimes.
Very rarely though. Yes,
okay.
but very rarely. I said the blessings have been immeasurable, and I no longer do anything that I have to do. I only do what I want to do. There is no have to in my life, not in my professional life, not in my personal life.
Yeah.
There really is no have tos. I cannot think of one I have to. You'd be amazed. Even the things that most people say, well, you have to do this. And I'm like, no, I really don't. I have people that do that for me. I have people who have people. So I don't have to do anything.
Yeah.
So that is why it's very beautiful, David. I get to choose. And the path has led me to really fully understand how important it is for anybody to really get straight with their value. What is their top value? Because I thought I mean, not that I didn't know it and I hadn't stated it many a times before when I was asked, what is your most important value? Give me, when I would list, 3, 4, 5 of them, being available and my children's well-being and welfare and happiness was always my top value. But I was approaching it in, I suppose, a backwards kind of way. It wasn't a direct, like, okay, I'm crystal clear, this is what it is. And if I start from there, I get to want, literally when I wake up in bed still, I say, I get to want to desire to be a great parent to my child. What is that going to entail? Well, it's going to entail me eating well, doing some exercise, being grounded, being centered. And so I start from that, and the day unfolds from there.
So I hear you stating your number one value is to be consciously at choice.
At choice, meaning me getting to choose what I'm doing with the day? Yes. At choice, because different things will be thrown at me throughout the day. My daughter will suddenly call and she'll say, I'm going to be in town, like last week or the week before, sorry. I was busy thinking I'm only going to see her towards the end of the week because I was hosting a graduation dinner for her on Saturday evening. And she showed up Tuesday night And so the rest of, anything that I had to, that was on the schedule, I gave to my operations person, and she handled it. And anything personal, a friend I might have told, hey, my daughter's in town, I won't be able to see you, but we'll shoot for next week. So everything is movable, everything is changeable when you are really clear on your priority. I mean, a half a year ago, I might have said, you know what, sweetheart, you come and you help yourself, let yourself in. I'm going to be out to dinner. And I'll get there. When I get there, I'll see you. I mean, she's a grown 22-year-old woman now. She would have been fine, but no, it's not my part. It's not my value. My value is spend every moment that I can, especially now with her that she's off and running. My two boys, I have one with me 4 more years and one just 2 more years. So you better believe any moment I have with them being with me, it's going to be prioritized.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So in regards to your position and as founder and CEO of Six Dragonflies Investments, I know it's dear to your heart. Please share with us the stimulus points which moved you forward to manifest this business for the benefit and elevation of social consciousness. Why this business, and what's your focus, your heartfelt intention?
So this is an interesting story. Have you read the book, The Alchemist? The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho?
Yes.
I think it's the only book I've read more than once, maybe 2-3 times, and probably heard it on audio a handful, or parts of it at least. And his journey to get to the pyramids is a fun one, right? So my journey is to
okay, losing the connection again.
To open tea house. Oh, this tea house can be amazing, David. When I found out, I know all the intricate parts to go. Are you all right now?
Okay, now we're perfect. What happens sometimes is it starts to warble, and then you freeze, and then I miss about 10 seconds of whatever you had to share. So
I was saying that the story of the Alchemist is near and dear to my heart.
Yes.
Because just like the little shepherd boy goes on his great adventure to the pyramids to find his treasure, my intention was for the purpose of having a place where people could commune and really converse with each other, put down the phone and really look into each other's eyes and have memorable moments together. I wanted to open up a traditional tea house the way they have in England. Where you sit down and you have high tea, with the little tea cakes and scones and little bites, so that you're actually thinking about your and looking at each other and talking uninterruptedly. You just pick at them as you eat as you want, not that, I have the first course to say. And I really wanted a place where people can intentionally commune with one another and have camaraderie, and just like a beautiful space to go and not ever want to leave, because it's so beautiful and relaxing, and just where you get to exchange ideas. So that, on my pursuit to do that, exactly that, and I began to say, I know exactly what this tea house is going to look like. I know all of the rooms. I know the tea service, the lighting, the colors. I know exactly what it's going to look like. But in my path, I've taken the scenic route, I say, to doing this. It started 5 years ago. I have become an angel investor, because I think that us as angel investors, to be able to have a say and contribution into what type of businesses get started and funded. And I have a heavy emphasis on not just diverse entrepreneurs, but also investments that are green and make social difference, that are socially conscious. And so initially I was investing heavily in women, and I found out that was, my own desire. I felt at the time, 5 years ago, that a big part of where I was at that moment in my life, which was newly separated and had all of this time and opportunity to figure out what it is that I would feel passionate about, because I suddenly, found myself with a lot of time on my hands, being a no-time spouse and only a part-time parent.
Mhm.
And so I said, I've always wanted to help women and young girls specifically, and mentoring them. Being an immigrant child, I I felt like I lived the American dream, and I had all the opportunity to
Mhm.
become anything that I ever dreamt I wanted to. I have. And so I started with wanting a lot of, while I was still a young mother, were organizations that served women and
Mhm.
young ladies primarily. And that evolved into where I am now, where it isn't just women, it is also underserved men
Mhm.
and young boys as well. So organizations that serve both of that type of community, the underserved and the diverse communities around. Investing really does help, I believe, on individuals. Another investor early on taught me that I can speak to them about, that when they are successful, that they will also turn around, look down, and give a hand up to whoever is coming up behind them. So that's really important to me
Mm.
to know that I've selected somebody who has the same frame of mind as myself.
Well, thank you for the intention that you are living through your business, because the way I look at business is it's in many ways it can be a guru for the 21st century, and in regards to supporting people to thrive, to exchange, to support, and to expand value for the well-being of our planet. And so you are making a point of doing this through your business, that then these other businesses that have come about, that have been birthed through your participation, go out and touch more people and spread the same values of green, conscious, centered, spiritual energy. It's beautiful. Thank you
Yeah, yeah.
for your part.
It, yeah, I think that, the power of one, never underestimate what one person can change and what one person can do.
Yes, yes.
Yes.
Yeah, it's yeah, every day is an exercise, I find, in choosing the words with which I speak. And are they uplifting? Are they supportive? Are they expanding possibility? Or am I coming from a small, cloistered, unappreciative self? And I have those moments too.
We all do. We all do. We're human. The other day, it was so funny. David, you do step into. I am very competitive only behind this wheel that you see here. Only when I'm driving, and not bad. I'm not a person that ever gets angry at anybody on the road, but I'm often challenged, and I will never back down from a challenge. So I was kind of in that mode, not realizing I'm taking my child to school in the morning. I don't need to be in that mode. And somehow I was being less than gun shy, I said to myself. And then I later explained to my son, I said, you know what? That wasn't probably I said, I don't even know where it came from, because usually I only do that when I'm by myself and not driving with my children. I said, I shouldn't have sped up, and I shouldn't have tried to, show that person that I'm faster, that he should have even tried. And I was like, that's not a highlight moment for me. But yeah, that we have those moments where you just have to. I had to laugh at it and say, I don't even know where that came from. Let me just put that competitive person back in the box.
Well, what's cool is that you had the presence of mind to be aware of being unaware. You couldn't catch yourself. You knew you were in the
Yeah.
middle of it.
Uh-huh.
I've done that where you just had to move through it. And then when you were done, you went, oh, okay, that wasn't so wise.
Yeah.
And next time
exactly.
you may unhook a little quicker.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, let's see. Okay, who is a notable individual besides your dad who's been instrumental in opening your horizons of perspective and stimulating conscious action? Who's really made it? Who else has made a difference in your life that expanded your vistas and opened your sense of self-directed action.
Did I hear you say who has expanded my business?
No, your added who's been prominent
Oh, yes.
in your life to open your horizons.
Yes. Well, I have to say that my former spouse and I met in college, first year in college, and we were married for 22 years. And, I've known him now for over 35. And I had to say that he truly, his parents immigrated here also in the 60s, but from India. He was born here as well. And his way, when you spend so much time with somebody, but his upbringing and his way of looking at things, and our, pairing up together, you can't help but to learn from someone that is that influential in your life. And so his parents taught him to always, go to the top. Don't waste your time talking to somebody that is the middle person or start, at entryway level. If you know you're right about something and you want to be heard, always speak up for yourself. Down to his mother, having issues with a product, and she'd take people to small claims court and say, this isn't fair. So, whatever it takes, you need to use the legal system. It was learning to me that that you don't have to be a victim to anything. You can always have a say in something and the way something turns out. And even if it didn't go your way, you at least had the satisfaction that you did, what you could do. And that I think is really instrumental to how I operate in life today, and probably a large part of the success I have in anything I undertake is that there's always somebody else that you could probably go to, till you get to God.
What I also sense from what you're sharing is that you and your former husband are no longer together, and yet you don't begrudge the relationship. You give thanks for the relationship. This is probably one of many experiences or interactions in your relationship that you look at and you go, you know what, made a difference for me. Look at who I am because of it. So
absolutely,
the pain,
of many things. Yeah.
The pain, the suffering, the tumult that we go through in life, we can keep remembering that it's all part of the lesson.
It was all part of the journey. And to this day, we have a very beautiful relationship where we're raising 3, children together. And I say raising because even my 22-year-old daughter, who at times, she feels like a fully grown baked woman. And then at times she comes to you with a 5-year-old that literally was hugging her teddy bear in my bed last week. That we all got sick. We were all down with a bad cold, and I was taking care of all 3. And even in that moment, we say again where your value is. I remember thinking, how often am I going to have all 3 children under one roof for a week or so? Yeah. And even though I was not feeling great, my trusted housekeeper, Bandit, she's like, I don't want to get your germs, even if it's not COVID. She is very frail in her health, and she unfortunately was the only one of any of us who got COVID. So she has kind of a system that she's like, I don't know that I'm fully healthy or well to be the same. So I'm going to stay away. So here I was, attending, washing, cooking, doing the laundry. It was all okay because I my highest value prioritized. But what I'm saying about our children, yes, we're still raising them together. I'm still raising them with this man that will one day also be grandparent to my children, that we will have all the special significant moments. At the end of this week, my youngest son, our youngest son, is graduating middle school and going to become a high schooler next fall. So we're going to his promotion ceremony. So yes, I don't understand, and I know it happens a lot, where marriages don't end up together anymore, and I don't see any rhyme or reason why they still can't continue to evolve as a relationship. Maybe not a relationship under one roof where you're living together day to day, but you certainly are still interacting for the rest of your life, no matter what, no matter if the children are grown out of the home. So yeah, I bless him, and I wish him all the best always, and he knows it. And And I really appreciate all the learnings and all the growth that came as a result of our being together. And they often say that that person, which, you know, kind of gives you the most resistance, or you just have the most trouble exchanging with, is your biggest teacher. And us in life, we are sometimes the teacher, and we are sometimes the student. And that's been our relationship with one another. I certainly can see where I helped him develop aspects of his character that might not have been developed, and likewise he has mine. So, you know, I appreciate him.
Yeah, good. Well, thank you. That's wonderful testimonial that it's possible to honor the relationships we've had, and then we go different ways, and not one of them is a waste. They're all part of building, developing, grooming who we are today. And so we can say thank you.
Absolutely.
So you have a morning or daily practice which supports you to remember your center, so you can continue to aspire to continue to be a conscious response in your daily life, rather than an unconscious reaction. What gets you honed in, centered, focused in the morning?
Well, not only as soon as my eyes open, I will say, I guess it's a mantra that I recently learned, and it is, I will say it here, but you say 3 words. First you say peace, then love. Oh my gosh, it's been, because I was not feeling well and jumping out of bed to take care of everybody. I literally didn't say it for a week and I forgot it, but I'll start it with love. I'll start it with peace. And it says, peace before me, peace behind me, peace to my left, peace to my right, peace above me, peace below me, peace unto me, peace to the world, and peace to the universe. And then it says the same thing for love, love before me, love behind me. And then the last one, for some reason I'm blanking out, but there's 3 affirmations that you say in the same way. And that's the first thing that I say, even if I can't get to the what my small routine is after that, is I have a Qigong practice where it's breathing and stretching exercises, that while I'm doing them, I incorporate positive affirmations, and the one recent prayer that I say to myself while standing still and finishing those exercises. It's the one of God, let me be an instrument of your peace. Where there is hatred, let me sow love. That one, I will say the majority of it.
No, St. Francis.
Yes, that's the one. That's the one. I have I don't know it all by heart yet. I know a lot of it, but again, that was one of those things, you know, I truly believe in seeing signs and seeing omens, like the Alchemist story will say, is divine presence is always constantly around us, and blessings and moments of wonder and growth are always there, being flowed to us. And if we're present, if we start by being grounded and present, we are more attuned to them and able to see them, as opposed to starting a day reacting. And so that little prayer card I found amongst my things at a very pivotal time, where I knew, and I'm excited to share with you, my purpose for the next foreseeable, I don't do things more than 2-3 years out, but foreseeable future regarding, I think it encompasses everything. It encompasses who I am as a person, how I give back to the organizations I give back, and who I am as a businesswoman. And it upon realizing my daughter's graduation and who she had become, and this just happened a month ago, the whole month of May was so eventful, and it was understanding and awareness and aha moment after aha moment. And it fell into place really quickly. So after I realized how I call it 22-year journey, because literally from the time I went to pick up the book, What to Expect When You're Expecting, to her becoming 22 years old on her graduation day, and me realizing the week before that she was such a wonderful person and that I must have been involved in that to some extent. It was a 22-year journey. And in that moment, that night, when I realized this, my children were due to go back with their father. And I took this journal that I had been writing a book for. Actually, you might know her, Margie Chadburn, who's part of our Insight community, because she had asked me to write kind of words of wisdom, whatever, to her, help her kind of in her life's journey and path. And I've been asked several times before to write something from different people, my age, and even my mother-in-law, maybe 5-10 years ago, asked me, maybe even more. But people had asked me, and I always thought, well, what would I have to share to somebody of my own age? They have their own lives and their learned things along the way. But somehow this young woman asking me, young, early 30s, I thought to myself, I have some few things I could share with my 30-year-old self that I know now that perhaps I didn't know then. And I'd been writing it supposedly for the last 2 years, not supposedly intentionally trying, but it wasn't flowing, it wasn't working. And in this moment, I took that journal and I sat near the ocean, and I said, it was twilight almost. And I said, until I can't see anymore, I'm going to sit here and write. And the book just started flowing right out of me. David, it was almost like divinely inspired. And I did not stop writing for the next 5 days. I literally wrote it all, I say, to completion. And it literally, it's word for word. And in some parts where I didn't want to stop to say the whole story or stop and look for something, I just put insert this here, and I just kept writing. And so that is what I am doing for the next 2-3 years. I'm going to write this book, and I actually, not just one book, but actually 2 books simultaneously. I can't put it all in this book because the theme of this book would be muddled by these 2 other themes that I have that I can write. And I literally started the second and the third book down to what I know what the cover and the title, what the cover's going to look like and what the titles are going to be. I was so creatively inspired to do all 3 at the same time. But the one book, and it's called In My Daughter's Eyes, it's going to be written by the end of the year. I want it to be a full book. I say 3 months, I'm going to finish writing the whole thing to where it can be edited and looked at by other eyes. But by the end of the year, I want it to be in physical form and in her hands, actually. And then the follow-up 2 books is one is Teach the Boys, and that's for my sons. And the last one is Becoming the Dragonfly. And that is the whole life's journey from being an immigrant child to being a successful entrepreneur that I feel has balance and joy and gratitude every day in their lives. So those are 3 books that just flowed out in that moment. And again, I don't know how we even got to where I am here, other than saying how I give back and how I intend to give back in the next 2-3 years. That is the plan going forward from this point.
Well, and again, perfect exemplification of how we can't make grace happen. Grace just happens. And when it does, it seems to know when we are awake enough to receive it.
Absolutely.
And when we do, it's just limitless in regards to what unfolds and who we discover ourselves to be from a whole new vantage point. It's beautiful. So thanks for sharing that. If you were to be president for a day and you had the freedom to speak your mind, enact constructive steps for human planetary transformation, what would you proclaim?
I would proclaim that in schools and in the workplace, the day started with having some kind of meditation and quiet time to reflect and to go within. I've seen the power of it in my children's school there. He actually, my youngest, could go from 0 to 10 very quickly. In 2nd, 3rd grade, he had self-control issues, and the teacher incorporated them having a bit of just quiet time and starting the day or coming back from the playground and centering themselves before they continued in the classroom. And it made such a difference. And so if I could incorporate anything, it would be that, because I think that us being introspective and in the stillness is where we find our truest, highest sense of self. And it's unfortunate, but a lot of people don't have that opportunity to start the day quietly or with a reflection or a positive quote or affirmation, a mantra, a meditation. You know,
Or
it's
they have the opportunity, they just are not aware of it, and or
correct.
they have not chosen to make that time for
I
themselves.
I think you're right when it comes to awareness. They're not aware of what a positive, fantastical change it can make in your day
Mhm.
and your perspective of how you view others and
Agree.
how you perform and
Yeah,
how you operate as a human.
yeah.
So that's what it would be.
Thank you. And
Mhm.
what would be words of wisdom that you'd like to share with our audience that you feel makes a difference, a powerful difference in living a life of purpose?
And living a life of purpose. So I love this one quote. It's by Goethe. Whatever you think you can do, begin it.
Yes.
There is power and genius and magic in it.
Yes.
That's the end of a very long quote that I love the whole quote, but I can't remember it all, but it is all beautiful. But those last words, the word magic in it, just it's like pixie dust kind of, belief in something. And it's true. It's really true. I cannot tell you, it is unfathomable to me that being a homemaker, although I helped my former spouse begin the IT company, he eventually ended up selling to a corporate Canadian, sorry, corporation that wanted to have an American presence. I started off in the business, but quickly when my children uh, came into the picture, I started to be more the homemaker. But it's amazing to me the learnings that happen, the exchange, when you're that close to something being created, from literally bootstrapping it to it becoming a nationwide organization with hundreds of employees. My learnings, and so I had just the intention of saying, you know what, I can be an investor. Why not me? Angel investing isn't particular to anybody. Even the investors that have been doing it for 10, 15, 20 years say it really comes down to you being able to have a gut instinct about something. And the idea, the entrepreneur, you look at the numbers, of course, you do your due diligence, and, you see their operation plan and you look at their team, all of it. But at the end of the day, it comes down to a belief and an instinct about something.
This is wonderful. When it's time to move over to the other side, what is the legacy that you would like to leave behind for others to continue your uplift for which you participate every day?
Yes. So it is my hope that the Six Dragonflies Trust continues, and that its mission to serve others and to continue doing the work that I'm doing would be taken on by at least one of my children, if not three of them. My intention is to grow it to the point where it is going to make a worldwide difference. So any one of my children at that point would be capable of handling it. And so that's a legacy I'd like to leave behind, is that Six Dragonflies would be known the way we know Apple, the way we know Google, the way we know Microsoft and YouTube.
What is your sense of how, as this planet goes through the tumult and the challenges and the upheavals that we do, as well as the wonderful revelations that show up on a regular basis, how do you feel about the future of our well-being?
I am very optimistic and positive about it, David. I know that love always finds a way and good always triumphs over evil. And I actually got to the point where I don't even name things as good or evil. They just are. And I think that our human nature is to go towards the light, to seek the light, despite how dark things appear. There's always a rainbow. It's always a rainbow. And I'm optimistic. And I kind of feel that what happened this past year, it was a really necessary reset. And even in nature, if we observe, nature is so wise. we were saying in this morning's call that nature teaches, without preaching. And in nature, right before a flower is going to bloom, even, it'll clamp up, it'll clench up, and then it soars to, its beauty. So I think that this was a necessary clamping up, if you will, because the next stage for humanity, I really think is a positive growth stage. I don't know how long we will be doubt, and I think it depends on every person. Depending on who you talk to, some people are still very much in the fear part of it, in the lack part of it, and some people that I see more often than not are in the where's the opportunity, where is the next growth kind of sector, if you will, and it's in technology. Oh my goodness! Wait till you see all the things that are coming. As an investor, I get to see all the new innovative things. I was a judge on a panel for the USC, the MBA program, the executive MBA program. And I judged 30 pitches of new innovation. Only 2 or 3 I could say, yeah, don't see that one working. The rest were all innovative, disruptive, really, really high-end, evolved thinking of what's to come. Yeah, wow. So I'm very hopeful, very optimistic.
Wow. Well, I appreciate what you say is that you just trust the indomitable spirit of the human being to aspire to the light. And however dark it may become, we have this sensitivity that we will see the light, we will go for the light, we will manifest the light, whatever it takes. And you and I are definitely participating. Our whole Genshai community is, and then so many people with whom we interact each and every day are making a difference to continue to lift us forward and outward and in an embracing manner. And I just appreciate who you are. I appreciate this time that we have together. It's, I am thankful for the energy that you draw upon and for the affirmation of light that you express and for the continuity of action that you live each and every day. So thank you.
Thank you, David.
It's been a pleasure.
Pleasure and an honor. And you say hi to your lovely wife, Jana, for me. I often think of her. Something made me think of her. Not only did you mention her in the call this morning, but also when I think of legacy, I said what I'd like Six Dragonflies Fund to be and trust as a person. I'd love to emanate the love and the beams of light that come out of your wife's whole essence. That is, I want to grow up to be Jana.
Oh, thank you. And time and again, I got to smack myself. And so does my wife have to do that to me, at least not physically, but she wakes me up to realize that we are a gift unto each other, and she certainly is a gift tenfold for me. So thank you for that note.
Yes.
All right.
Well, thank you, David.
We are complete. Thank you.
Namaste.
Namaste.
Take care.